A woman who has accused British comedian and presenter Russell Brand of sexual misconduct has described his response to the allegations as insulting. Mr. Brand posted a video denying any wrongdoing hours before claims of rape and sexual assault were published by British news outlets Channel 4 and The Times newspaper. He also accused the mainstream media of carrying out a coordinated attack on him. "We are calling this woman Alice. She spoke to Women's Hour on radio. For the show's presenter Emma Barnett told me why Alice chose to speak up. It's her first interview since she's spoken to the Sunday Times and of the UK and talked about what happened in her relationship when she was 16 and the comedian was originally 30. I mean, he's also a Hollywood actor. People will know him around the world and he's cultivated many fans online." He strenuously denied all of these allegations, but she hasn't spoken since the response of Russell Brand, where he has issued these denials, and also she hasn't spoken about the age that she was really in. A bit more detail. I think she has reflected as an older woman on what she thought she was at 16 versus what she is, and here in the UK it differs around the world. The age of consent, sexual consent, is 16. Now, that was a rule that was made in the 1800s, and she is asking for there to be a review at least of that, and talking about how even her mother, who tried to stop this relationship, and this was now she views a grooming situation. She views it. The law has changed since her relationship with Russell Brand as an element of coercive control. She views it very, very differently, as well as the specific allegation of sexual assault. Well, let's have a listen to Alice when you ask her if Russell Brand knew that she was 16 when he first asked her out. He knew before we ever went on our first date. So when we met initially and he took my number and asked me out on a date, he hadn't asked me, but he didn't know, so I texted him prior to, because he said to me he knew that I was stalling on agreeing on a date with him. And he said, "Why aren't you?" He said, "What's going on? Like, why don't you want to go out with me?" I said, "Because I've got something to tell you." I said, "I'm 16. And he just replied saying, "Okay, so we're still on for dinner at 7:30. And how old was he?" He was 30. What do you want to say about that now? As an older woman, what is now that I'm in my 30s looking at 16-year-olds, I can't even imagine finding them sexually attractive. I can't imagine even thinking of them as that, a potential mate in any way. It just seems the only feelings I have towards them, maternal protective feelings. I couldn't even imagine. You just don't even put them into that category in your head. As I became an older woman and began reaching the same age as him, that's when I really started to feel angry and felt like what had happened wasn't consensual, in inverted commas, or what, how would you describe that? Because although it's technically legal, the power imbalance, which is what you're referring to there, is huge in this. Yeah, and just because he was telling me that I'm a very intelligent woman, I'm mature. Being intelligent doesn't mean that you're not naive, and that you're not vulnerable, and that you don't have the life experiences, and your brain isn't fully developed. Some reaction from Downing Street describing these allegations against Russell Brand as being very serious and concerning, and we've also heard that the Culture Secretary is going to speak to broadcasters about their investigations into Russell Brand at the very next opportunity that she has. This is Lucy Fraser, of course, because what are the allegations around the BC? Emma? Yes, and I just wanted to say we used an actor to voice up Alice there. It's not her actual voice. We spoke on Account of her remaining anonymous. The allegations, he worked for a number. Russell Brand worked for a number of broadcasters. Channel 4 also looking into a UK channel looking